Christina with Bubblegum Paper, and I am back on YouTube with another card video. It has been over 2 years since my last video, so I'm a little bit rusty, but I am back. And today I am sharing a happy first anniversary card that I made for my husband. So yes, in the time I've been away from YouTube, I did get engaged and I did get married, and now we're celebrating our first anniversary, which was actually last Sunday. So even though this video is posted a little late, I did give him the card on time. Today's card features products from Lawn Fawn. I have had these products for quite some time now, and I am so super excited to be using them in this card. Here's a close-up of what the card looks like, and here's what the double slider surprise inside looks like, and let's get started. They say the first anniversary gift is paper, so how fitting that I'm giving my husband a handmade card as his gift. I'm basing the card off of our wedding invitation, so I thought I would share the design of our invitation with you here. I had the main invitation printed at Minted along with the reception card that says join us. We had our reception at Disney's Grand Californian. And then I added this belly band and the vellum and this super cute Mickey charm, just to kind of have a little crafty component, but also to play up some of the Disney magic on the invitation. Let me tell you, mailing these invitations with that little Mickey proved to be a little bit more difficult than I imagined. But the charms are so cute, and I really enjoyed working with Minted on the actual invitation. Here's a sample of the main invitation, like in the super thickness. This is what they call their Luxe Museum board, and I worked with the designers to add the C and the R on the back. I think their sample just had a pattern. I can't remember if it was actually initials, but they were very accommodating. And then we added C's and R's in the corners as well. It's kind of like hidden Mickeys for Disney, only these were the hidden C and R's on the invitation. I know I'm such a dork, but I loved it. I had some extra paper left over from the invitation, some of that sparkly vellum, and I also had those Mickey gems, tons of them, so I wanted to figure out how to incorporate that into today's card. The products I'm using today are from Lawn Fawn. I have the Happy Wedding stamps and coordinating dies. I've had this stamp set for quite some time. I don't know if it's bad luck to buy a wedding stamp set before you get married, but I did. And I'm also using the Happy stamp set because it says Happy Anniversary. And then the superstar of today's card is this double slider surprise die set. It's so awesome. And I'm also using the stitched rectangle frames for the front of the card. As with most of my stamping, I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink to do the stamping on the images I'm planning to color. You'll see here it took me a while to stamp the images, not because there were a ton of them to stamp, it's because I was having the hardest time with this bouquet stamp. There was like a little piece of fuzz in that lower right flower, and I didn't realize that. So then I finally took it out with a pen, and then I stamped it again, and then the bow didn't show, and yeah. Anyways, you could avoid this all with a stamp positioning tool, but eventually I got it to work. As I mentioned, the colors for our wedding were blush and burgundy, so I wanted to incorporate that color scheme into the images that I was coloring. So I went ahead and used a couple of darker reds for the burgundy, and then E00 and 2 shades of really light red for the pink, and then some cool grays on the birds and the cake stand. So I'm going to set this to some music, and I'll be back when I'm done. This is wedding music that I'm setting it to, so thematic. After I finish coloring, I'm using the coordinating dies to die cut all these shapes out. I'm using some washi tape to hold them in place, and then I'm going to run them through the die cut machine. And since I have the die cut machine out, I'm going to do all of my die cuttings. So I'm also using the double slider surprise dies, and I'll be cutting several pieces out. I'll need 2 of the outer flaps and 2 of the inner pull tabs, or they're not pull tabs, but the inner sort of secret message ones. I'm cutting the notches out of those outer flaps. I don't know if these are the technical terms. I'm also making a pull tab, and then I think I cut out the track as well, and then the stitched rectangle frame. Okay, so the die cutting is done. I have a stitched rectangle frame, 2 of the outer pockets, 2 of the inner secret message tabs. I have the inside track, and then the pull tab. I'm going to use this stamp positioning tool to stamp the sentiment on the inside card panel. And I don't use this tool very often, but it helps when you're trying to get something straight. So I use this piece of acetate that I put on top of my actual card to help me line up the stamps. I have a problem with these sentiment stamps because even though they're straight edged, I never seem to get them to stamp in a straight line. So I have to do this and stamp it on some scratch paper first, and then once I get the placement right, I can go and stamp it on the real card. What's great about this piece of acetate, I just kind of tuck it in behind to store so I can reuse it over and over again. And now we get to the interactive part of this card. This is the inside track, and I'm going to wrap some plastic around the track, and I'm using this sort of packaging from cards. I got a whole pack of it from Daiso, but you can also use packaging from a notebook. Like this plastic wrap is perfect, but I'm going to use this smaller piece just because I have it handy. I'm going to trim it down to 2 1/4 inches wide by however long it is. I guess it's probably around 11 inches long, but I don't really care about the length as much because I'm going to cut off whatever excess I don't need. I'm using a piece of 1/8 inch Scor-Tape, and I'm just running that along the edge of the plastic. Then I'm wrapping the plastic around the track and trimming off the extra that I don't need. Now this is the tricky part. So what you want to do is put a piece of Scor-Tape on the far edge of one side and flip it over and put it on the opposite edge of the other. So what that does is it has an opposite pull effect. So here I'm taking the backing paper off of this side, and I'm taking the happy anniversary card that I stamped, and I'm lining that up with the bottom edge of the track, so the right side in this image, and I'm taping that in place. Then I'm flipping it over, and I'm going to take the backing paper off of that side, and I'm taking the back card. The back will be facing up here since the whole thing is facing, I'm seeing the back side of everything. You're going to put the back on that second piece of tape. Now what I didn't do here, which I probably should have done, was lay down the Scor-Tape on the tracks ahead of time, because that will actually help guide where to place the cards. And I didn't think of doing that until I ran into this issue right here, where they kind of touch. But you live and learn, and next time I will know to lay down the Scor-Tape on the edges beforehand. Now I'm taking the pocket panels, and the die creates a score line for you, but I didn't feel like the score was deep enough, so I'm taking my scoreboard and rescoring it at the 1/4 inch mark. This way I can ensure when I fold it, it's completely straight. So when you fold these, you want to add the Scor-Tape to the outside edge, which was counterintuitive for me, but I guess it totally makes sense now that I've done it. So you want to put the Scor-Tape on the outside edge, and then you butt them against each other to create one cohesive piece. So I'm just figuring out where to line it up, and then I'm going to take the backing off of just the bottom one only for now, and now it creates this pocket flap. Next, I'm going to take the inside surprise cards, and I'm going to glue them in place. And what's great about this die is everything is measured perfectly. So all you have to do at this point is take all the tape off and line it up with the creases of the folder. So I'm taking all the tape off, and then the inside slider surprise will stay put. Next, I'm taking the pull tab, and it's a little big on the front, so I just want to trim off a little bit of the front part. I think I cut about 3/8 of an inch off the front. Not exact. And I also want to fill the hole. See how the hole is a window? I want to fill that with some pink paper. So I cut some scrap pink paper and trim that down to size, and I'm going to glue it all together and then attach this whole thing, the whole tab, to the bottom of the happy anniversary piece. So it's at this point that I realized that I forgot to put the stopper in. The die comes with a stopper that prevents you from pulling the 2 secret message panels out too far, but I forgot to add that. So, so for this card, it just needs to be pulled very gently, I guess. I didn't really try pulling it all the way to see if it falls out or whatever. But it's okay because my whole message fits, and that's good. So at this point, I'm adding some Wink of Stella shimmer pen to all the images that we die cut, and I'm just decorating the card. I added the hearts and the bouquet directly to the tabs. I didn't use any foam adhesive on those because I didn't want them to stick out, but I am using foam adhesive for the cake and for the little birdies. I contemplated turning the top hat on the bird into Mickey Mouse ears, but then I couldn't figure out how to die cut it properly and then it would look funny, so I did not add Mickey ears to the cake topper. And before I glue everything down, I'm going to take my Mickey ears and I'm going to tie it onto some ribbon. This is the same ribbon that I used on the wedding invitation. There's really no rhyme or reason on how to make this bow. I just make a bow and hope for the best. I figure out which side Mickey shows up on, and then I finagle and trim it down so that it looks good and make sure the ears are tucked behind the bow, and then I have it. So now I'm going to put everything in place. I'm actually, to adhere the Mickey Mouse to the card, I'm using some foam adhesive because that's more secure than gluing the ribbon in place or using liquid glue. This is super, super secure. Next, I'm taking a standard A2 size card base and I'm scoring it at the 5.5 inch mark. I'm going to take that vellum and the pink frame I cut out and I'm gluing that in place. First, I'm putting glue on the frame and then I'll place the vellum on top of that. The problem with gluing vellum is sometimes you can see through it, so I want to make sure I'm gluing in places where the pink paper is covering the window, and I can glue the center because I know this pocket is also going to cover it. So I'm going to use some foam adhesive to prop up the pocket. That way it's a little bit easier to pull. And then there is the finished card. Thank you so much for watching. This was a longer video than my normal ones, but hey, it's been a while, so I wanted to spend some extra time with you. If you're interested in more videos, you can take a look at some of my other projects down below. You can also follow me on Instagram at Bubblegum Paper. And if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to click the subscribe button. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Have a great week.